Alrighty then, here we are with blue-green land destruction. We are on the draw, which is always a bummer for an LD deck. But our opponent mulliganed, and we have like a Coiling Oracle, so into Thermocar, so it can't be that bad. It seems like we're against Affinity, which is definitely not a matchup you want to go second in. But they could be like some sort of, they're a value deck. Well, it is entirely possible that they can get so much value they just draw out of any land screw that we inflict upon them. I'm much happier about this matchup than playing against Affinity, where sometimes they'll play 4/4s on like turn 2 and then your land destruction looks a bit silly. So, well, we got a little rampant growth action there from our Coiling Oracle, which is nice. So next turn, right, rather than thermal casting the garrison right away, I feel like I want to temporal spring the garrison, since that sets them back way more for when we follow up with the thermal cast. Coiling Oracle eating a firebolt is not a problem to me. I guess it would be even better if they played like a Glinthawk here, right? Return their Ancient Den. Ooh, baby. If only we could destroy this in response. I mean, it's not that amazing. You just set my opponent back to 0 lands, and while untapping with 5 mana next turn. No big deal. Muldrifter certainly would trade with the Glinthawk in this situation. I feel like, since we know that they have a bounce land, we probably want to save the Thermal Karst for that when they get around to playing it. So we get to cast Muldrifter, and then assuming it like eats a bolt or trades, we can then cast another Muldrifter after pulsing it back in the turn after. Seems like lots of value to me. Aha, so the opponent obviously going all in on the Glinthawk strategy here. A noble cause. And while, you know, feeling fairly good, if the opponent's hand is just like 5 lightning bolts and we just never get to block, obviously that's pretty good for them. Let me see. I feel like reaping and sowings is a good idea here. So time to suit up this forest. Might as well get some blue mana from it. We've got tons. So we could like Acid Moss plus Ranger, but reaping and sowing seems like a better use of mana since we've got extra. And we could get a life gain land, or we can just get like another growth chamber for value. I think we have enough lands that might as well just get an extra life. It might make the difference going long. You never know. Well, just continuing to mana screw the opponent. We've got so much LD to spare. I think it's fine to do that. I still don't really want to pulse back the Coiling Oracle. I'd rather wait until something happens to this Muldrifter to pulse back that. And now we're at the stage of the game where if we like draw another Muldrifter, or a Self-Assembler, or a Crusher, or a Capsize, I think we're in amazing shape. If we don't do any of those things, I'm not exactly sure what we're drawing, but I guess, you know, we can still die. Obviously no attacks, because then they just attack us back for 4. And the opponent conceded, which is totally reasonable. Like, don't actually have anything to kill them with yet, but if they can't even play a land this turn. So we're going to draw Coiling Oracle into Thermal Karst. And there's a Self-Assembler, so we were going to get them before too long. So in this matchup, the Utopia Sprawls, like the speed is not particularly relevant, is my feeling. So we could board on Hydroblast, maybe to hit their Pyroblasts, or maybe they bring in Stone Rains or something. Also, another reason to board us out sometimes is if the opponent is bringing in Stone Rains. So it's kind of embarrassing for us to get completely nailed by LD. I mean, I know it's it's still -1 land if they Stone Rain us, but making us actually weak to it is not great. Here, I think we can just bring in like some Gleeful Sabotage. I think Penumbra Spider is pretty good. These LD spells are generally quite good. The main question is like whether Reap and Sow is better as a Gleeful Sabotage. It probably is, since Gleeful Sabotage can quite often just be like a 2-mana LD spell. They can certainly not have a draw with lots of artifact lands, but if they just happen to have a bunch, then Gleeful Sabotage is pretty good. Anyway, so obviously the opponent can draw out of Mana Screw. Like if they happen to get the artifact value train going by like making some sort of 2-mana thing, then drawing a card, then bouncing it, then drawing a card. Squadron Hawk. I wasn't actually expecting Squadron Hawk, but you know, that's fairly good against us. Another nice thing about Gleeful Sabotage is it kills Journey to Nowhere, which is like the best card a white deck can play against the Spider. Given our hand though, I think I'm going to just Gleeful Sabotage the Ancient Den right away. It's entirely possible that it means they don't get to play a spell next turn, since they don't have a lot of untapped lands. Oh well, looks like they did, but what can you do? Squadron Hawks themselves aren't like the fastest beatdown plan, so that should be fine. As to what we're actually playing next turn, whether it's like a Coiling Oracle or a Thermokarst, I'm just going to go for Thermokarst. Now that we have our 4th land, I think it's totally, we're going to hit Spider on time, and that should provide a nice roadblock to the Squadron Hawk plan. Targeting like one color of mana is obviously like fairly standard procedure when it comes to playing an LD deck. So if they have a Journey, then the Spider has gotten. But we still have more Gleeful Sabotages to draw in the future. Looks like they don't, which is nice. I mean, obviously they can attack in and deal us 1 in exchange for a Squadron Hawk, but I imagine they don't actually want to do that. So here, I think just Temporal Springing this step is a good plan. If it's the same land that they get to play next turn, that's fine. If they want to cycle it using Prophetic Prism, that's also okay. Just reduces their total number of lands available. And hopefully next turn, between our 2 Coiling Oracles, we'll draw into something more relevant than these forests. Gleeful Sabotage. Well, I'm not going to play that one on Prophetic Prism, even though it does fix their mana. We're at the stage where we can quite easily conspire it, so we can probably get the Prism for free sometime soon anyway. Well, that's a reasonable amount of value. It's still in the draw a big spell to win the game part of the game already. It's not quite as easy as that, but theoretically. Prophetic Prisms. So, now obviously they don't actually provide mana, but I guess I'll just destroy one of them for free while taking out the Great Furnace next turn, assuming we don't draw anything like a Crusher. Obviously Crusher would be just the perfect draw since we're going to reach 8 mana next turn. Another relatively perfect draw would be like a Capsize. So this feels like maybe the opponent's considering Galvanic Blasting the Spider before realizing they'll just get an extra thing back from it anyway. Alright, Mole Shambler. Destroying a land, obviously. And I think I'll just take out the Great Furnace. Did I click this with Conspire? Yeah, I did. Okay. And tap the Mole Shambler plus this. Take out a Prism for free. Is this a Gulf Blast? Feels like a Gulf Blast. I mean, it could obviously just be like a regular Lightning Bolt or something, but... Alright. So, see, this is like the stage of the game where like all these decks always reach to, like they always get to, like the tons of lands, opponent with very little, but like just hand stacked. So if you don't actually like put the game away relatively quickly from this position, you can still die. But we managed to get there. Opponent has had enough. Pretty reasonable, since this is a pretty miserable deck to play against. Come back for round 2, where hopefully we can LD some more folks.